Hey, what's up, gang? Before I get to the main topic of the video, I was just surfing the web, and I was just doing some research on this whole hashtag walk away movement that's going on, and I just find it interesting how you got the leftist media. They're attacking the movement, saying that it's all Russian bots, it's fake right wing propaganda, it's some BS and all this kind of stuff. They try to downplay it, and it's crazy how I mean, I think the left wing media, they're pretty much running scared. You know what I'm saying? But I think that it's more than just political. And I was just sitting here thinking, I think the main reason why you have like a lot of people who used to call themselves liberal or leaving the left it's not really political. I mean, it is, but I think that deep down, a lot of people, they're looking for stability. Especially when millennials get older, when they leave college, when they have no choice but to deal with the real world. They get wiser and find out how hard the world is. I think that a lot of millennials, Gen X, Gen Xers, millennials, they're looking for stability. They're looking for groundedness, level-headedness, and I think that's the reason why you have like a lot of young people leaving the Democratic Party or leaving the left and going toward the center, or they're going toward to the right, because if you look at your parents, your grandparents, they may have been more conservative, but they're more responsible, they're more practical, in the everyday life. And I think that's the thing a lot of people are looking for, especially like a lot of young people. You know what I'm saying? And that's if you ask me why I walked away from it, it wasn't necessarily political. It was just the observation of people my age. You have people in their 30s still acting like they still acting like they're in college, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? And I think the word for it is infantilism, being infantile, where you have like a lot of grown people in their 30s, they still act like they're 18 years old, and I think that really, and I'll say that's one of the main reasons why I got into this kind of information, got into the whole right wing thing, because it's just like nobody my age range are getting married, and they still live with their parents. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So my anger kind of like led me toward more to the right wing. You know what I'm saying? But it's interesting how I'll say like back in the 90s, being liberal was associated with it wasn't authoritarian back then. Being liberal dealt with like equal rights, gay rights, racial equality, stuff like that, which is fine. Everybody's on board. Most everybody's on board with that. But now in modern times, in 2018, it's like they take it to the extreme. Like everybody's a victim, intersectionality, and all this BS. But it's just getting insane. And it kind of goes back to what I wrote an article about it. Let me try to find it if I can pull it up for you. But I wrote an article on WordPress back in November 2018 under my real name, and it's called "The Pendulum Has Swung: The Cool Liberal Crowd are the New Puritans." And in one of the paragraphs, I wrote, um, back in the old days, it was the fundamentalist Christian conservative crowd who were enforcing the social status quo. They were the preachers and the old church ladies who restricted and policed other people's social life, sex life, and relationships. Oddly nowadays, it's the millennial hip and cool crowd who are doing the exact same thing. Instead of doing it under the banner of Christianity and the church, they're doing it under the banner of being liberal, inclusive, or social justice. It's really a leftist agenda to weaken the minds of the masses to make people emotionally insecure so they can be easier to control. And that's, I mean, that's pretty much my personal take on it. You know what I'm saying? Because when I look at liberalism now, it's all about everybody's a victim. It's all about feelings and emotions and nobody taking accountability for their actions and stuff like that. And I think like to like counter this, a lot of people, they say stuff like, well, we got to take the moral high ground. And I personally believe, not in all cases, but I think like the whole idea of, when you're in warfare, you don't really consider the enemy's feelings. You know what I'm saying? It's either kill or be killed. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of goes back to when I was watching an episode of Beauty and the Beta, the episode from July 22nd, 2018. I was listening to Blonde and Matt, Matt Christensen, he's a good guy. I'm not knocking Matt Christensen. You know what I'm saying? He seems like a reasonable guy, but he's sometimes he gets on my nerve because sometimes he's just too damn middle of the road. It's just like, dude, take a side. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess he's more like a moderate. So I'm not hating on him. He's a very
went out on Twitter guy. And said, "Here's the standard we should uphold as a society. Say bad things, get punished." I can't deny having some level of appreciation for a guy who.
Let me pause for a minute, but he's a very intelligent guy. But I really like Blonde's stance because I think in this episode, I think in this part they were talking about the whole thing with I think the guy name was James Gunn. They were talking about the double standard, how like a leftist attack the right, and what I'm saying, then the right attack the left or whatever. But I really like what Blonde said, and I agree with her 100%. If you're in a battle, you got to use the same dirty tactics as the enemy in order to win. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna ramble too much. I just want you to let you listen to what she had to say.
Endorse that standard, burning by that standard. Can't deny that.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good. Come on, this guy deserved it, and I'm happy to see him go down. And this article, do you see that Luke O'Brien, the piece of shit from Huffington Post that doxed Amy Mack, is talking about this and talking about how the standard, can't be set. It's like, the left definitely started this. They started this. They set the standard that they're going to go after people's past speech, that it's going to interfere in your career, in your family life, in your day-to-day business. And the fact that we're applying it to the left, if we win because of this, then it was a good decision.
So that's the difference, is I don't see a winning outcome, because what I see here, I don't see the right doing this and then the left going, whoa, you know what? This does suck. Let's stop doing this. I don't think that's going to happen. I think instead they're going to escalate and it's going to become worse. And this outrage, mob mentality, pitchfork nation nonsense is going to become worse, not better.
How could it possibly become worse?
Because they'll do it in higher volume and they'll do it to more people. It'll become more common practice. And suddenly everybody's afraid to say anything publicly. It already sucks. I already have a ton.
That is exactly how it is. I think we're at like apex free speech chilling effect already. How
right, so the house is on fire and we're tossing in more gasoline in the hopes of...
But it's already burning, man.
I guess maybe we should just clear out the lot and start over. But that's always been your perspective, yeah. So this is a difficult one to navigate, admittedly. The one question I would ask in my conclusion is it okay if I just hate everybody?
Of course.
Because I actually do hate everybody.
Let me ask you this, though.
Yeah.
If you think that the right played nicely and allowed the left to continue doing this without employing their tactics, do you think that they would not escalate just themselves?
I think that if we ignore, what I would hope is that we could create a culture where you can embolden people to ignore the mob. So where you could somehow create a culture where you can tell the boss, look, it's okay if a Twitter mob comes after you for employing this person for like 2 days because they're going to, one, they're wrong, and two, they're going to tire out.
Yeah, but isn't that what the right is going to do by doing this? Isn't it going to become, there's going to be such a bad chilling effect, or people are going to be so tired of the outrage that it's just not going to matter anymore. We could be employable one day somewhere.
Keep hoping. You don't want to be employable anyway. You want to be a professional mom. I can't blame you. I'm the one who's got to do some breadwinning around here.
That's true. Thanks for you.
If the outcome, even though it violates my principles, if the outcome was what you described, then maybe I'd reconsider. I don't foresee that outcome happening. So I would rather uphold the values of the culture we'd like to cultivate as opposed to fight fire with fire and burn everything down.
Yeah,
basically.
but what if your cultural values are unrecognizable from the ones you formerly held dear? What if you do just need to burn it all down?
Well, what's left to recognize if I compromise them in full? I mean, if I no longer uphold them myself, what's left to recognize?
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, we talk about this all the time, but I do believe that it's possible for the right to employ some leftist tactics to use their evil to bring it down, then reinstitute a culture in a better image, in a more moral image, without employing those same tactics. I think that they could walk it back. What did I say to you earlier? Like, I think I could take this to like the edge, just the very edge, and then pull it back before I just put the world on fire. I think I could do that.
We need blonde for benevolent dictator 2020. Yes. Yeah.
No, I don't want to lead anybody. God.
The last question I want.
Yeah, but she was on point, and that's what I've been saying for a long time. That like I said, I'm not against morality, I'm not against ethics and stuff like that. But if you're in a battle, if you're in opposition with somebody, I mean, shoot, you can't take no prisoners. Sometimes you gotta get like grindy and dirty in the battlefield. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with Blonde 100%. And that's what people on the right have to do. You know what I'm saying? We can't just be like taking this moral high ground all the damn time. Try to be this squeaky clean image. I mean, what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But she on point because just use their tactics. That once we win the battle, then we can like bring about a peaceful society. You know what I'm saying? A stable society. But I really agree with what Blonde is saying. It's just pretty much on my wavelength mentally on that issue. You know what I'm saying? But I just found it interesting how like you got these people, they just take the middle ground. I was like, I don't believe in the middle ground. Usually if you're in a battle, you can't be neutral. So you gotta take a side. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I just give you my perspective on it. All right, peace out.